Hi friends, did you know that Mark Rober on average brings in 50 million views a video? And it may be tempting to think that this amount of views is only reserved for people who do stuff like this. But hold on just a sec. You see, after watching every single one of his videos and every interview that I could dig up, I realized he's consistently just using this 4-part formula that makes his videos blow up. And believe it or not, it's this exact same strategy that blew up these very different videos from education-based channels. So by the end of this video, you'll have tangible strategies that Mark uses to blow up your own channel, no matter what niche you're in. And the best part is you can literally implement them in your next video, so you're like confident in every single upload going forward.
One way to make a viral video the way to make a viral video is to just...
Okay, let's start with the first step of the formula, which I call the transformative payoff. And to fully understand this, let's break down a couple things, including what he calls...
There's something I've heard people call like Jenga storytelling.
This is the game of Jenga. And believe it or not, it's actually a very simple game that can teach us a lot about how to structure a YouTube video. So first, let's understand what Jenga storytelling even is, so then we can understand how he used it in his most viewed video, this video. If this is an audience retention graph and somebody leaves your video here, that by default means that they're not going to be watching here. It sounds like things are not going well behind me. That's why Mark really focuses on those first 30 seconds. Oh dear. You see, if you've ever played the game of Jenga before, you know exactly how this is going to go. One by one, you're going to start taking turns, pulling different blocks. And as you do, the tension, it just begins to rise and rise and rise until the balance is broken, and so you knew that the game was going to end like this. That wasn't a secret to anybody. But just knowing how the game's going to end doesn't mean that you didn't want to play. In fact, knowing that there's a dramatic ending actually makes that experience and the tension more interesting. So what Mark's doing here is he's not afraid to show you the final result at the very beginning just to make sure that you know that you're getting what you came for. So what exactly does this look like in video form? Most creators would have started this video right here.
The idea of a Jello pool has been on my bucket list for over 4 years.
But that's not where Mark started his video. Let's back up and see what he did.
This is the world's first ever actual pool of Jello.
The pool was made at the beginning of this video, which naturally you would think that goes at the end because that's the final result. That's the end of this journey, right? But the key here is to not give away too much. You see how we never actually see anyone swimming in this pool? He added a couple shots that make us really want to see it, but that's the stuff that he's saving for the end. He shows us enough to verify what we clicked for, but he leaves out enough to make us interested enough to stick around to the end.
There's an amazing thumbnail that got you to click on it. I want to pay off on that thumbnail in the first 30 seconds, so you know I'm not clickbaiting you.
But hold up, what does this look like for an educational channel? Because for an educational channel, it would be really easy to think, okay, I'm supposed to put the end results at the beginning of the video, but you got to be careful with that because you could give away too much and really give the audience reason to leave in the first 30 seconds, which is bad. But like if I'm a cooking channel and I'm making a video about creating healthy breakfasts for my family, using the idea of Jenga storytelling might tell me that, oh, okay, I got to put the recipes at the beginning because I'm taking the end and putting it at the beginning, right? So don't think about it as putting the end result at the beginning. Think about it more in terms of transformation. What's the transformation that the viewer should feel after watching the video? Let's take a look at what that might look like.
And although it was delicious, I might as well have just injected an IV of sugar straight into the vein. I think it's so important to get ourselves and our families off to a really good start. And that's what this video is all about. I'm gonna be showing you 4 of my favorite breakfast options that are really fail-safe. They're customizable, they are nutritious, they're easy to make, and I guarantee no matter what age you are, everyone in your family will like these breakfast options.
Notice how everything he touched on here is the transformation that the viewer feels after they watch the video. Let's refer to this transformation as like the grand payoff, all right? Because if I'm watching this video, I want those things. And now that I know that that transformation's coming, I will wait till the end to get it. And hey, by the way, if you ever feel like it would be super nice to have like the downloadable version of all this information, you can actually get all this information and more in the ebook that is attached to this video. If you click that link down below the like button, totally free. It's just nice to have when you're making your next video. It's the type of thing that I reference all the time too. So that tease that you're putting at the very beginning, that might be enough to get them through a 60-second video, but as soon as we're talking about a 10, 15-minute video, it's not going to be enough to drag them all the way along. Which is why Mark relies on what's called the story trinity. Mark knows that even with his crazy big ideas, he can't just drag us along for 22 minutes in hopes that we're going to wait for this big moment. So that's why he introduces multiple subplots throughout the video that all lead to the grand payoff at the end. Like, for example, this video, the plot is for him to try to make the world's biggest devil's toothpaste. And it's worth noting that every single one of these plots, the big plot and the subplots, they all have three elements: the setup, the tension, and the resolution. So here we see how he did the setup.
And the part that concerned me the most was picking the right nozzle size.
And then the bulk of this subplot's gonna be the tension and how he tries to solve this problem.
And we tried that on our first 5-foot scale test. And just as I feared, it went all confetti on us.
And then the problem is solved, that's the resolution.
The third test, we let the pendulum swing back just a tad, and sure enough, the column went really high and looked great.
But actually, there's never a moment where there's not a subplot in play, because once a resolution happens, he starts another subplot with a new setup. Watch this.
Column went really high and looked great. But this test uncovered another issue. With such a high volume of foam, the pressure was creating some really high forces in the flask.
Your audience should always know what they're waiting to find out or see next. And for educational-based channels, I mean, let's look at this video, for example. This is the game of Jenga. And believe it or not, it's actually a very simple game that can teach us a lot about how to structure a YouTube video. But just knowing how the game's gonna end doesn't mean that you didn't want to play. He's not afraid to show you the final result at the very beginning just to make sure that you know that you're getting what you came for. So what exactly does this look like in video form? And that's great, and I would say that Mark has kind of perfected this storytelling structure, but the reality is without this next thing, it's not possible to reach 50 million people. Like, it's not gonna happen. Which is why it's important for him to dial in the viral filter. You see, Mark has this big book of potential video ideas.
I have a document, like a notebook basically, that has a bunch of ideas in it.
But not all ideas are good ideas, and that's why he uses this 4-step filter to try to figure out which one of these video ideas is worth making. So to best understand this, let's switch niches for a second. I'm gonna show you 2 videos from the exact same channel. One has way more viewership than the other one, but I want you to see if you can tell why. So I'll give you a second to look at this, and a little bit of a hint. Read the titles to see what these views are about. You see, no matter what your niche is or what kind of content you create, your audience can be looked at like these circles. This circle represents anyone who's interested in yoga-based content. And I've personally never watched a yoga video in my life, so I would not be in this circle. And this circle represents all the people who would be interested in like mindfulness techniques. And to be honest, there's probably gonna be a little bit of overlap here, but this audience isn't necessarily the same as this audience. And this circle represents all the people who would be interested in yoga gear, like yoga mats and stuff. And now this circle does not go outside of this circle because you have to be interested in yoga in general to even remotely be interested in the gear within the yoga niche. And this is kind of weird, but the more times I say the word yoga, the less it sounds like a word. Does that ever happen to you? Yoga. Feels like I just made that word up. So now are you able to see why this video did way better than this video? Well, it's because this video is appealing to a much bigger potential audience, and this video will only ever appeal to people in this little audience. So the amount of potential viewers is already substantially smaller. So for Mark, his strategy over his entire channel is heavily based on this idea. Watch this clip.
That it's like, I don't make a video that's like very, very, very niche. Like, part of me, because I'm reaching such a broad audience now, it needs to be broadly applicable.
Anyone could be interested in watching squirrels do an obstacle course. Like my grandma could find that interesting, but also my little cousin, right? But what we can learn from this is any ideas that we make a video about, if we want to reach the max amount of people, we need to ask ourselves, is this reaching the broadest possible audience within my niche? And broad appeal is really just one of the 4 filters that Mark uses to pick the good ideas out. But the top YouTubers know that they can't stop there. You see, on Mark Rober's channel, every video idea has to be engineering based in some way. In the same way that like the Bigger Pockets channel is a real estate investing channel, and if they start making videos that's like the last person to leave this circle wins $500,000, their current audience is gonna be like, what the heck is happening here? And that's why you can't always just make broadly appealing videos. Like, it has to relate to your current audience. And that's the first step in creating like raving fans and a loyal community. And these next 2 filters is really where Mark starts to shine. But before I get into that, if you don't mind just hitting subscribe on this video, if this is at all helpful to you, and hit that like button because it helps out the video and I really appreciate it. But have you ever seen anything like this or like this? Well, the reason that this video works is actually the same as why these videos work. You're showing the viewer something unique, something that they may not have seen before. Like world's largest just naturally is going to be unique, or like in this Minecraft example, beating a record is just naturally unique. And the 4th filter is really when it comes to packaging. He uses methods that even work outside of YouTube. Because long ago, before there even was a YouTube, before there even was an internet, these were the modern thumbnails. We used to call them magazine covers. And they actually had the same goal, but instead of getting you to click on something, it's getting you to open up said magazine, right? So whether it's this magazine cover, a Mark Rober thumbnail, or one of these education-based thumbnails, the best packaging includes some sort of underlying story on the other side of the click. Now, this viral filter, it's nice. It'll get people to click, but it won't necessarily get people to watch the whole video or to get people to share, more importantly. So let's hear what Mark says does get people to share a video.
If you make something that makes people angry, they're going to share it.
Hold up, what? We gotta make people angry? Okay, while that is technically true, this clip was taken a little bit out of context because whether it's anger or a sense of awe or wonder, you can create this viral shareable effect with any emotion that you could stir up in the viewer.
One way to make a viral video the way to make a viral video is to just evoke some kind of visceral response in the person watching it.
And in Mark's case, it is the sense of awe and wonder, but for you, it might just be motivation or inspiration or empowerment. And let me give you a little bit of a warning, because earlier I said that video ideas have to be unique in order to get a mass viewership, right? And that might be true, but it might be tempting to think that, okay, now I gotta make things explode if I want people to watch my videos. But I want you to hear this, because if you have an education-based channel, you'll be happy to know that Ryan Trahan is actually known for taking bland ideas and turning them into billions of views. So I guess that means like even if your channel is like teaching people Microsoft Excel, there's hope to bring in a lot of views. So I will break down how Ryan Trahan does that if you click right here, or if you're interested in just the latest video, that's gonna be right here. So I'll see you in the next one.